From the Heart Media Group newsroom and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this expanded morning newscast. Good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm your host today, Ben Hubbard. The news is brought to you by Baum Chevy Buick in Clinton, your Silverado headquarters, as well as Connexus offering fiber internet in Clinton. Click their icon on DeWittDailyNews.com to find out more. DeWitt County's economic development leader is restating and standing behind the county's need for additional hotel space. Last month, the DeWitt County Development Council formally requested $30,000 for a hotel feasibility study for Clinton and Farmer City. DCDC CEO Kurt Homan explains that while investor groups have already expressed interest in developing new hotels in the area, a formal feasibility study is necessary for potential owners to secure financing from a lender.
You know, we've been very fortunate to have some new large manufacturers locate in DeWitt County. And in one of those conversations, I asked, what do you need? Most of the time I'm expecting him having problems with this product. Is there a local supplier? Those types of things is what I'm really asking for. But one in particular said, you need a hotel in Clinton. And, that prompted interest from me, some follow-up questions, and it does make sense. And ultimately, as an example, this particular employer had roughly 180 people in from all over the country about 2 weeks ago. They stayed in Bloomington. They did a lot of meetings in Bloomington. They fed them in Bloomington. They brought them over here in two chartered buses to tour the facility. While they were here, they did have some local food catered in, but for the most part, they spent their time in Bloomington. And this particular business owner suggested that we ought to have them spend their time in Clinton, and he's correct.
Yeah.
So we look at the other manufacturer; they have people coming in all the time, from corporate, from other places, and I'll ask them, where do you stay? Well, we stay in Bloomington.
These studies will provide the hard data that lenders and franchises need to determine if Clinton and Farmer City can support a new hotel. Currently, some of the county's largest manufacturers are hosting their visitors and meetings in nearby Bloomington, and Homan points out that takes the revenue out of the local economy.
So interestingly, as the discussions progressed, which initiated in Clinton, part two of this is virtually all hotels are franchises. Okay. So you can call Marriott up as an example, and you could say, hey, will you build a hotel in DeWitt County? It's not on the radar. I promise you that. So if you don't have investors ready to go, they're not going to build a corporate-owned hotel.
Okay.
So ultimately, the discussion really is with investors, and those, in the process of doing that, there was some interest for Farmer City as well.
Okay.
So interestingly, a fairly large investor has a significant interest in more so in Farmer City.
Really?
So there's a obviously the interstate traffic, the raceway, some of the events that they have going on there is also is a good expectation that a hotel will succeed there as well.
The studies will not only determine if a hotel is viable, but also the number of rooms each market could sustain and the expected return on investment for developers. Early estimates from Homan suggest a new hotel in Farmer City would be roughly a $9 million investment, while a similar project in Clinton would cost between $12 and $15 million.
First of all, I put a lot more faith into the business people and the investors that I'm talking to than someone on making a comment on social media as to why we do or don't need this.
A fair point.
The second half of that is that's why we need the study. So I have a very good idea that both studies are going to say there is a need, but the second half of that is how many rooms can we justify, and most importantly, there are a handful of investors that are ready for this project to take place. We will have to supplement. So let's take a look at this as an investor perspective. An investor has some commitment, but we're asking that investor, yes, would you be willing to invest in a hotel? And the answer is, yeah, I would be willing to, but they need to know all of the details. So we need to know the number of rooms. We need to know what the cost is. We need to know what their return on investment is going to be. And until we have that study, none of those things happen.
These studies will also address potential ripple effects for other businesses in the community. Holman notes new hotels are often catalysts for other commercial developments, such as new sit-down restaurants and gas stations.
DeWitt County has made tremendous strides the last few years, but a hotel specifically automatically brings additional business. So very likely a sit-down restaurant, would go right next to a hotel. Right. A gas station doesn't have to be right next to it, but needs to be pretty close. So those are very, very common supplementary businesses that locate as well. The size of projects they are, on the low end, I think if we get a fairly low number back of rooms, that's still probably a $9 million build. And I'm guessing on the high end, we're probably looking at $15 million. That's each location. My guess is Farmer City is going to come in a little bit lower. So we look at $9 million there. We look at $15 million, 12 to 15 million on the Clinton side. And that's a lot of revenue that's generated off of that just in real estate tax revenue. Sure. Let alone some of the others. So so I got off, specifically, people say, well, we don't need a hotel or those types of things. The information that I have says that we do, and we're going to verify that with a hotel study.
The core distinction group will begin the feasibility studies within the next several days. The final report, which is expected to be delivered by mid-June, will include a full financial breakdown to guide potential investors and the cities through the development process. Coming up shortly on this expanded newscast, Social Security highlights Representative Payee program. May is National Community Action Month, and the organization is highlighting its Central Illinois locations and services. Breanne Titus, Chief Visionary Officer for Community Action, explains that in their service area, they work with around 4,000 families who often receive more than one service. While that number is very impactful in Central Illinois, she says it is a small part of the work that is being done on the national scale.
So every May is Community Action Month, and really it's just a time for us to celebrate and honor all of the programs and services that we do as an agency. As many probably know, Community Action is a nationwide organization, and so there's thousands of organizations all over the country that do similar work to Capsule. We are just one small part of that. I was looking into some data the other day, and nationwide, the CAP agencies serve about 7 million families annually. And so we are just a small component of that. And we serve just shy of 4,000 families annually, and between 7,000 to 8,000 individuals. And a lot of those families are receiving multiple services. And so you can kind of see how we're just a small part of that. And so Community Action Month really is not only spotlighting our agency specifically and some of the great things that we're doing locally, but also to spotlight from a national perspective what that impact looks like and kind of what we're all doing for one mission and one focus, and all of us working together to make sure that services like this and resources in our communities are available nationwide.
To honor and showcase the work they are doing locally, Capsule is hosting open houses at each of its locations in the 6-county area they cover. The first will be today at the Clinton location from 4 to 6 p.m.
On social media, we're making sure that we're spotlighting a lot of different things, whether that be client success stories, programs, resources, even some trivia questions with some throwback questions and things like that. So it's been kind of really fun to kind of showcase all of that. And we've brought in our Head Start students to make some videos for us for this month. And of course, to celebrate, we're going to open our doors. We haven't done that in a long time. And so we're opening every single one of our branch offices throughout our 6-county service area. And we're hosting open houses and just inviting the community, local leaders to come and check out our facilities. We'll have staff available from all of our programs. And so just kind of getting to know a little bit more about our agency. I hear all the time, like, oh, I didn't know you did that, or I only knew that you were Head Start. And sometimes that's just because that's the service that they've connected with. But we are so much more than just one program and one service. And this is the ability for us to kind of showcase that. So we'll actually be in Clinton at the DeWitt County Outreach Office next to the Dollar Tree Monday night from 4 to 6. And so we just invite the community to come and see us and meet us and talk more about our programs.
On Wednesday, an open house will be hosted at Capsule's central office in Lincoln. And Titus says representatives from Ameren will be present to talk about clean energy programs and offer free energy kits.
So we actually had 2 this week. We had one in Lewiston, which is in Fulton County. And then we also had last night, we were in Payee County at the Monticello Outreach Office. So we have had those 2 have already been and gone by. We will be in Logan County. There's several of them, but our big open house at our central outreach office there on 5th Street is Wednesday, the 13th, and that is from 11 to 1. Most of our open houses are, afternoon, evening. We did 11 to 1 for our central office just because it's the most trafficked office of ours. We will also have Ameren, Illinois there during that period of time to talk about some clean energy initiatives. And if you come to the central office, one in Logan County, if you bring an Ameren bill with you or your Ameren bill, they'll actually receive a free energy kit from them. So you don't have to be a Logan County resident as long as you have Ameren. So if you really are interested in that energy kit, come see us at 1800 5th Street on Wednesday, May 13th from 11 to 1 and talk to Ameren and get to know some of their initiatives and to get that energy kit. So, And then of course, our Logan Head Starts, we have multiple. And so those are more towards the end of the month. On our Facebook page, we have not only the listing of every single location and their times and addresses and dates, but we also have ones for the individual options as well. So whether you're, in that area or you want to come see a different outreach office, that's okay too. You can come to any of them that you want to see and check us out.
These events will be taking place all across central Illinois. And Titus says the purpose is to bring awareness to the wide scope of their offerings from the Head Start program to the Low Income Home Energy Assistance Program. Learn more at capsule.info or by finding them on Facebook. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Let's take a quick break with a word from our sponsors.
It's the quiet moments you count on. A call that connects instantly, a show that never buffers, a home that just works. That's the difference with Connexus Fiber Internet. We built a buried fiber network designed for consistency, earning us the title of top-rated fiber internet provider in Illinois. With plans starting as low as $25 a month and 3-year price lock options, it's reliability you can feel without the unpredictability. Because with Connexus, connection means everything. Experience better at Connexus.com. Nothing connects us like Connexus.
Spring into savings this May with a new Chevrolet. This is Scott Baum from Baum Chevrolet Buick in Clinton and Farmer City. Savings with a new car? Yes, with our fuel savings model like the Chevy Trax with 40 miles per gallon highway, the Chevrolet Trailblazer and Chevrolet Equinox with 33 miles per gallon highway. And don't forget about our EV options, the Chevrolet Bolt and Equinox. Chevrolet, together let's drive. BaumChevyBuick.com, right from the start.
News time is 26 minutes after the top of the hour. You're listening to the WHOW Morning Show. Some people who receive monthly Social Security or SSI benefits may need help managing their money And when they receive information that indicates you need help, Social Security will work with you to find the most suitable representative payee to manage your benefits. Jack Myers with Social Security explained that while many believe the power of attorney allows them to manage a family member's benefits, federal privacy laws prevent Social Security from recognizing those documents.
We get a lot of calls from people who say, hey, I'm calling, I need to do this, or I need to find this out, or I need to help my, fill in the blank, my mom, my dad, my other family member, whoever the person might be that you're trying to help. And then a lot of times they'll say, I have power of attorney, so I'd like to talk on their behalf. But the reality is the Privacy Act doesn't allow us to recognize power of attorney. So we can't disclose information to you because you have power of attorney for somebody else. But we do recognize that there is a need for that. There are a lot of people who receive Social Security or SSI who may need help managing their money. In those situations, we have a program to help with that, and it's called the Representative Payee Program. So, basically, if your family member needs help with management of their finances, you can apply through Social Security to become their payee. Now, sometimes you bring that to our attention. Sometimes we find out about that through different interactions that we have with them. So there are a variety of ways that comes to light.
The representative payee is typically someone close to the beneficiary, such as a family member or a trusted friend who receives the monthly payment and manages it on their behalf. In cases where a trusted individual isn't available, social service agencies or nursing homes can sometimes step in to fulfill that role.
If it is something that becomes necessary, I just want people to know that we do have a process for that. And a payee would be someone who receives the monthly benefit on your behalf and then is required to use that money to pay for your current needs. So if you need help managing your benefits, you can have a person you trust apply with Social Security. Ideally, it's going to be someone that you see often, someone who's in position to easily help you with your current needs. But there's not always a person who can do that, Seth. We don't always have those helpful folks in our life that we can count on and depend on. And, absent that individual, there are certain organizations like social service agencies, nursing homes, or others who will sometimes step up and apply to be payee for another person.
According to Myers, naming potential payees in advance beneficiaries give the agency a clear lead to follow if a need for assistance is identified later on. Find out more about the Payee program at ssa.gov/payee. That's PAYEE. Get news anytime from your computer or your mobile device at DeWittDailyNews.com. Network news is now.
With SRN News, I'm Rich Thomason in Washington. President Trump pulls no punches when it comes to his feelings about Iran's response to a U.S. peace proposal. On Truth Social, Mr. Trump writes, I've just read the response from Iran's so-called representatives. I don't like it. And 2 words in capital letters, totally unacceptable. The Iran war may cast a chill over the president's visit to China later in the week. China is a key Iranian ally, and it's the largest single buyer of Iranian oil. This will be Mr. Trump's second visit to China as president. His first trip was back in 2017 during his first term. A French woman and 2 Americans have tested positive or display symptoms of hantavirus. They're among passengers evacuated from a cruise ship in the Canary Islands, sent back to their home countries, where they are now in quarantine. The Dow futures down 59 points. More details at srnnews.com.
If you want unlimited talk, text, and data on a super fast network, Big Wireless will sell it to you right now for as little as $70 a month. Or you can buy it from Pure Talk for half of that. I'm talking about unlimited talk, text, and data for just $34.99 a month. But wait, there's more. When you switch to Pure Talk, You'll be switching to an American wireless company that's committed to keeping 100% of its customer service in this country. I appreciate that. In fact, that's why I switched. I also appreciate the way they support our vets and our skilled workforce. Dial pound 250, say micro, and get unlimited talk, text, and unlimited data for just $34.99 a month. That's pound 250 micro. Stop paying twice what you need to pay for the service you want and switch to an American wireless company that actually stands for something. Pure.
From the Hart Media Group Sports Desk, IL Sports Wire, and DeWittDailyNews.com, I'm Ben Hubbard with this local sports report. The Illinois State baseball program secured a postseason berth with a 7-6 victory in 10 innings over UIC Sunday evening at Les Miller Field at Curtis Granderson Stadium in Chicago. The Redbirds' victory clinches a bid for the Missouri Valley Conference tournament as Illinois State closes out Valley play with a 13-11 record in 2026. The win total marks their fourth straight season the Redbirds have tallied 12 or more wins in conference play. Graham Mastros tallied his first 5-hit performance of his career, including a game-winning RBI single in the 10th inning. Braden Bakes recorded his team-best 28th multi-hit game of the campaign with 3 hits, including a double in the game. Luke Teschke matched his career-longest outing with 6 innings pitched in the contest. After 2 runs scored in the first frame, Teschke limited the Flames' offense to 2 hits across 5 straight scoreless innings. The Redbirds rattled off 4 straight hits to open the contest as Michael Carano Jr. added an RBI double, and Mastros notched an RBI single to give the Redbirds a 2-0 advantage. In the home half of the opening frame, the Flames matched Illinois State's first inning with a pair of runs of their own to tie it at 2-2. After a scoreless second frame, the Redbirds reclaimed the lead as Mastros tallied his second long ball of the series, giving Illinois State a 3-2 lead. Moments later, the Redbirds struck once more after back-to-back singles from Mastros and Stolga opened the 5th inning. Eric Machej homered to left field to push the Illinois State advantage to 6-2. In the 7th, the Flames added a run after a walk and a wild pitch put a runner in scoring position, setting up an RBI single to cut the Redbirds' lead to 6-3. Trailing entering the bottom of the 9th, the Flames rallied after a leadoff double set up an RBI single for UIC to make it 6-4. With a runner on and 2 outs, the Flames evened the score with a 2-run homer to make it 6-6. In the top of the 10th, the Redbirds responded to the late surge from UIC as back-to-back hit-by-pitches placed a runner in scoring position for Illinois State. With a winning run on second, Mastros delivered his 5th hit of the contest with a game-winning RBI single to score Chris Danko and give the Redbirds a 7-6 lead. With the advantage entering the home half of the 10th, Thomas Harper extinguished the Flames' offense with a 1-2-3 frame to secure the Redbirds' victory. The Fighting Illini completed their sweep of Northwestern with a 10-3 win over the Wildcats on Sunday afternoon at Illinois Field. Extending its winning streak to 5 games, Illinois used a strong start from Sam Mommer and an early offensive outburst to improve to 27-23 overall and 13-14 in Big Ten play. Mommer made his 4th start of the year, earning the win after throwing a career-high 5 innings without allowing a run and conceding just 1 hit. The first 3 hitters in the Illini lineup all posted multi-hit days at the plate. Nick Groves went 3 for 4 while reaching 4 times and scoring twice in the leadoff spot, while Michael Farina and Jack Zebig both tallied 2 hits. Colin Jennings hit his team-leading 15th home run of the season in the bottom of the 1st, which came on a 3-run shot to right. The Orange and Blue opened the scoring with a 4-run first before plating 2 in the bottom of the 2nd to extend their lead to 6-0. An RBI double in the 3rd and 2 runs in the 4th then saw the Illini take a 9-0 advantage through 4 innings of play. After the Wildcats got a run back in the 6th, the Illini retook a 9-run lead with Zebig's RBI single in the home half of the 8th. Northwestern scored twice in the top of the 9th, but it was not enough as Illinois closed its home schedule with a victory. Randall Grichuk hit a solo home run, and Drew Romo scored the winning run in the 8th for the Chicago White Sox in a 2-1 win over the Seattle Mariners on Sunday.
The White Sox sent Davis Martin to the hill on Sunday in the rubber game versus Seattle, and as you've come to expect from Martin all season, another ace-like performance.
Here it comes. He got him looking set, and the pitch, the payoff. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. 7 strikeouts for Davis Martin. The pitch. He struck him out swinging. A 9 strikeout performance.
But he left the game with the Sox trailing 1-0. Cue the 8th inning comeback spurred by Randall Grichuk.
1-2 is clubbed in the air. Deep left. It's gone.
After an off day on Monday, the Sox welcome the Royals for a 3-game series starting Tuesday night. I'm Jeff Meller, and I'll have your pregame coverage starting at 6 p.m. on the ESP 1000 Hard Rock Casino White Sox Network.
The White Sox are back in action on a Tuesday when they play the first of a 3-game series with the Kansas City Royals. Hear all 3 games on WHOW with pregame for Tuesday's outing beginning at 6 p.m. Jacob deGrom tied his season high with 10 strikeouts while earning the 1900th of his career. Evan Carter hit a 2-run homer in the 8th inning, and the Texas Rangers beat the Chicago Cubs 3-0 on Sunday. The Texas right-hander allowed 3 hits in 7 innings while striking out Ian Happ 3 times to end Happ's career-best streak for reaching base at 30 games. The Rangers took the series with consecutive shutouts, their 4th and 5th of the season, after the Cubs opened the 3-game set with a victory that clinched their second 10-game winning streak in the span of 23 games. Josh Jung, who had 3 hits for the second game in a row, opened the scoring by racing home from third on Alejandro Osuna's grounder wide of first in the 4th. His foot touching home on his slide just before the tag from catcher Carson Kelly on Michael Bush's throw. The Cubs challenged, and the call was upheld on the review. Jacob Latz retired all 6 batters in the 8th and 9th for his 4th save, striking out Seiya Suzuki to end the game with Happ waiting on deck. Leadoff man Nico Horner had 2 hits off deGrom, but Chicago's 2-3-4 hitters, including Happ, went 0 for 9 with 8 strikeouts against the 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Bush and Crow Armstrong also entered the game with lengthy on-base streaks for the Cubs. Bush extended his to 12 with a single in the 7th. Crow Armstrong's ended at 13. Cubs right-hander Colin Rea is set for the series opener in Atlanta on Tuesday. Texas righty Nathan Eovaldi is scheduled to face Arizona at home on Monday night. Nick Castellanos hit a tying 2-run homer with 2 outs in the 9th, and Manny Machado delivered a sac fly in the 10th to rally the San Diego Padres past the St. Louis Cardinals 3-2 on Sunday. Walker Buehler pitched 6 solid innings for the Padres, who earned the split of a 4-game series and pulled into a tie with rival Los Angeles Dodgers atop the NL West. Jordan Walker launched a 2-run homer for St. Louis in the 4th. Kyle Leahy allowed only 2 hits in 5 shutout innings. Xander Bogaerts singled against Cardinals closer Riley O'Brien leading off the 9th. O'Brien struck out the next 2 batters and got ahead 0-2 on Castellanos, who then worked the count full and drove the 9th pitch. He saw a 98-mile-per-hour sinker to left field for a second home run in his first series with San Diego. Adrian Morgan retired pinch hitter Jose Fermin on a pop-up with 2 on to end the top of the 10th. In the bottom half, the Padres loaded the bases against Gordon Graceffo on an intentional walk to Jackson Morrill and a free pass to Fernando Tatis Jr. that moved automatic runner Ramon Laureano to third. St. Louis brought in Fermin from left field to form a 5-man infield, and Machado hit a 299-foot fly to right. Laureano scored with a headfirst slide ahead of Walker's one-hop throw. Cardinals righty Andre Palante starts Tuesday's series opener against the Athletics. Padres right-hander Matt Waldron pitches Tuesday against the Milwaukee Brewers. In scores from around the MLB yesterday, the Miami Marlins beat the Washington Nationals 5-2, while the Baltimore Orioles took down the Athletics 2-1. The Philadelphia Phillies shut out the Colorado Rockies 6-0, while the Tampa Bay Rays beat the Boston Red Sox 4-1. The LA Angels beat the Toronto Blue Jays 6-1, while the Cincinnati Reds shut out the Houston Astros 5-0. The Minnesota Twins beat the Cleveland Guardians 5-4, and the Milwaukee Brewers beat the New York Yankees 4-3. The San Francisco Giants beat the Pittsburgh Padres 7-6 in 12 innings, while the Atlanta Braves took down the LA Dodgers 7-2. The Arizona Diamondbacks beat the New York Mets 5-1, and the Detroit Tigers beat the Kansas City Royals 6-3. In NBA postseason scores from yesterday, the third-seeded New York Knicks beat the seventh-seeded Philadelphia 76ers 144-114, while the sixth-seeded Minnesota Timberwolves beat the two-seed San Antonio Spurs 114-109. In NHL postseason scores from yesterday, the Montreal Canadiens beat the Buffalo Sabres 6-2, and the Anaheim Ducks beat the Las Vegas Golden Knights 4-3. Get highlights of your local high school program by finding IL SportsWire on your preferred social media platforms, and get local sports anytime at DeWittDailyNews.com.
WHOW planting reports are brought to you by Baum Chevrolet Buick, AAK Mechanical, Peterson Insurance, Longview Bank,